Someone asked this question: is it important for your employees to like you as a manager? Yeah, we're going to dive into that today, and I think my answer might surprise you a little bit. Hey everybody, welcome to Build Your Team Show, and I am your host, Atiba. And if you are a business owner looking to take your business to the next level and grow your team, you're in the right place, because I'm sharing with you what I've learned over the last 25 years of building effective teams, and more specifically over the last 11 years of building virtual teams. Now, is it important for your employees to like you as a manager? Wow, what a question. What a question. And I know that, you hear me talk all the time about hiring for fit. And I'm always saying you've got to make sure you hire for someone who fits your environment well, right? Yep, I talk about that all the time. And so my answer here might surprise you just a little bit. Now, before I get there though, hey, do me a favor, hit that like and subscribe button if you haven't already, and don't forget to hit the little bell so that you find out when I release new videos. Now, because I said this was a spoiler alert, you probably already figured out my answer, that I'm going to say no, it is not important for your employees to like you as a manager. And you say, but wait, Atiba, but I thought you said it's all about hiring for fit, and I've got to hire for fit and make sure that they fit my culture and my environment. Yes, and guess what? If you hire for fit and you do it well, then chances are your employees are going to like you as a manager. But is it important for them to like you as a manager? No. What's important is that there is respect. That's what's important. What's important is that there is trust. That's what's important. Because if I like you, but I don't respect you as a manager, I might like you as a person, but if I don't respect you as a manager and I don't trust your management style, even though I may like you as a person, as my manager, we're not going to have a great relationship. And that's the key. You see, it's super, super important that we all, as business owners, realize that the most important relationship for our employees in our business is the relationship between them and their direct manager. If there is a fracture in that relationship, in the trust in that relationship, in the respect in that relationship, inevitably the employee will leave. Inevitably the employee will leave. Now, if we build good trust and good respect, are we also going to then create an environment where the employee is going to like us as a manager? Yeah, you are. Yeah, you are. But that's not the aim. That's a byproduct. It's not the aim. Okay? The aim is to build an environment where your employees trust you and respect you. Now, you're going to say, okay, so how do I get there? How do I get to that place where my employees trust me and respect me, which then leads them to liking me as a manager? Well, there are three ways. Number one, you need to show appreciation. You need to show appreciation for your employees. And this is something that goes without saying, because, or I shouldn't say goes without saying. This is something that needs to be said more. It needs to be said more. I said the wrong thing. It needs to be said more. Because as managers, it's often so easy for us to overlook when our employees do the good thing and only pay attention to when they did the bad thing, when they messed up, when they didn't hit the mark. And it's so easy for us to miss applauding them doing the right thing. And you need to applaud when your employees do the right thing. See, the beauty here is the things that you harp on will get repeated. Hear that clearly. The things that you harp on will get repeated. Now, I'm not saying that you can't correct your employees. I'm not saying that you should just accept bad work. I'm not saying that you shouldn't expect excellence out of your employee. That's not what I'm saying. But what I am saying is when your employee does the right thing, applaud them for it. Show appreciation for it because you want to see more of that. Now, when something doesn't go right, yes, pull them aside, talk to them, have a meeting, figure out how to correct it, encourage them, and move forward. And move forward. That's the key. Move forward. Okay? We don't stay there and dwell and hope and harp, and none of that is helpful to your relationship with your employee and building that trust and respect. Show appreciation. They want to know that they did a good job. They also want to know, they do want to know when they don't do a good job. But if all we do is focus on when they don't do a good job and never when they do a good job, it's very, very hard for them to build trust with us. Very, very hard. Okay? Number 2 is you must communicate effectively. You must. That also means, that when communication doesn't go well, so to give you an example, there are times when I ask an employee of mine to do something and they don't do it correctly. They interpreted it incorrectly and they did the wrong thing. And in those moments, I raise my hand and say, this has to have been my fault. I miscommunicated with you. I miscommunicated with you. Here is what I should have said and what I wanted to say for you to be able to produce that which I expected. You first raise your hand when communication goes wrong. You never blame the employee first, ever. You first raise your hand when communication goes wrong. And then when communication goes right, when you communicate something well to the employee and they get it and they do it, go back to number 1, show appreciation. Wow, you really understood that. That was great. Love how you interpreted it. You did a fantastic job there. Okay? You must communicate effectively. You must communicate effectively. And communication is a thing that you have to continually work on. And here's one of the beauties of communication. And here's one of the beauties of being a business owner and or a manager is when you're communicating, you have to realize that you cannot communicate to all of your employees the exact same way. I have some employees that when we communicate and if I'm giving them tasks, I need to make sure that after I give the task to them, that they wrote it down and they repeat it back to me so that we're on the same page. I have other employees that I can give them a task and they'll say, okay, you told me to do this. In order to do this, I've got to do X, Y, and Z as well. And they get it. Different strokes, different folks. You have to learn how to communicate with every single employee and do not think you can communicate with all of them the exact same way. You cannot. That will lead you to a very dark place in your management of your staff where you will get burnt out really quickly and not understand why things aren't working. And it will be because you're trying to communicate with everybody the same way. Okay. And then the third thing is in order to gain respect from your employees, you must first respect them. That means number 1 starts with respecting their boundaries, especially in the virtual environment. In the virtual environment, it's so easy to work 7 days a week, all hours of the day, especially when you're dealing with time zones across the globe. It's so easy for us to want to work all the time and to send work and expect it back. You have to respect the boundaries of your employees. There are going to be some employees that are going to work like that and they're going to want to work all hours of the day and they're fine. There are other employees who are only going to want to work. They're in a set range and on set days, and that's fine. You have to respect the boundaries of your employees. So that's number 1, in respect. You have to respect them. And then number 2, you have to be courteous when speaking with them. Understand that they are attempting to interpret you, especially when you're dealing with people around the globe and different cultures. They have a cultural lens that they're listening to you I know I just mixed senses there. They have a lens that they're listening with. But seriously, they have things in their culture that they expect. And then when you are communicating, they're listening for those things. And maybe they're not getting them from you, or maybe they're misinterpreting what you're saying and what you're sending. Okay? And you have to have the patience to, one, sometimes even ask questions. I had this experience with an employee the other day. I asked her a question and she responded, and she used a term which I know the word, but it didn't fit the context for how she used it. And so I had to, next time I spoke to her, right, because this was over text, and next time I spoke to her, I had to ask, okay, what did you actually mean by that word? To get her to tell me what she was saying so that I understood. And vice versa. You see, when you do that, when you give that level of respect to your employee, they'll give it back to you as well. When you give that level of respect and say, hey, I didn't quite understand what you meant here. Can you clarify this for me? And because maybe there's a cultural difference here in how we're communicating, when you give that level of respect, then when they have moments and times when they don't understand you, they feel much more comfortable to say to you, hey, I didn't quite understand. Can you explain that to me again? Can you explain it to me again? So those are the 3 tips that I have for you for how you can gain that trust and respect with your employees. And again, this isn't about a popularity contest, and it's not about making people like you, right? Business is not a like show or a popularity show. That's not what it's about. Now, it is a byproduct of doing the right things. It's a byproduct of building a culture of respect and trust that you naturally will grow to like people. That's a byproduct of it, but it should not be your absolute aim or something that you say is super, super important. All right, everybody. I hope that helped you in understanding, a little bit more on really building the relationships with your employees, and why we talk about hiring for fit and what that really means. Okay. And how you can actually play it out and create great culture for your team. All right. I'll see you next time on the Build Your Team Show. Bye, everyone.